There are no analogues to Putin's technology in Hlan. The armed forces of Ukraine rolled over the Russians, eliminating their infantry and equipment. What were the Ukrainian defenders able to hit? Shocking statements from Warsaw. Duda called on the US to place nuclear weapons in Poland. Can Washington go for this? And what does this threaten for Russia? Details in the story.
Ukrainian warriors repelled the most Russian attacks in the Pokrovsk direction, reports the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. There, the occupying forces unsuccessfully tried to break through the Ukrainian defense 32 times. Another 11 assaults were carried out by the Russians in the Toretsk direction, and 9 in Kursk. Military experts note a connection between the situation in the Pokrovsk and Toretsk directions, as well as in Kursk.
The enemy clearly lacks operational reserves in the Pokrovsk and Toretsk directions. Look, there's a comb. At the front line, it's now being shaped not so much by Russian attackers in action, but by the counterattacks of our forces. This indicates that the Russians do not have enough reserves. Where can they get these reserves? So where are these reserves now? Where? They are advancing in Kursk. Tanom, 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 tanom. The situation in the Pokrovsk direction will be determined by how events unfold here, because the Pokrovsk direction remains key for the entire operation in the greater Donbass.
Ukrainian warriors note that in the Toretsk section of the front, the enemy is suffering losses in personnel and equipment, not only on the ground but also in the sky. Drones operators from the National Police LIT have arranged a real downpour for the occupiers' Mavics. The warriors emphasize that it takes just a month to become a real ace.
This is from our practice. A person flew in combat for a month, and after a month he had exactly his 100th flight. He counted his flights. And indeed, we can already say as an example that a person can easily learn to fly in just a month. Under the wrap, taking off and landing without satellites. So nothing is impossible.
The occupying army attempted to advance on the positions of Ukrainian defenders in the Kharkiv direction 3 times. The warriors repelled attacks in the area of Volchansk and Doroshevka. The defenders note that they are steadfastly holding the line and destroying the enemy not only...
He is with us because he is participating in this Volchansk direction, where we are now. Drones. Very often we also make adjustments for aviation. So, our helicopters are operating. Our fighters are in action. And since technology is being used everywhere now, everyone is asking for video confirmation streams. I believe this is right, because if there is still confirmation, the guys always perform at an excellent level.
And now, all technologies are being used, they are asking for streams. The artillerymen of the 44th Separate Brigade also demonstrated excellent work. They have several Russian howitzers, an ammunition depot, and even a launch point for the enemy's drones to their credit. The scouts of the ground forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine boasted about the defeat of yet another juicy target. They managed to destroy a radar station which is part of the Buk M2 missile defense system. It's clear that the equipment tried to escape after being hit, but it didn't get far. The cost of such a radar station is about $40 million. Ukrainian soldiers are also steadfastly holding positions in the Orekov, Liman, Huliaipole, Novopavlivka, Siversk, Kupiansk, and Kramatorsk directions.
In the Lyman direction, Russian invaders attacked in the areas of Novomikhailivka, Mirn, and Novolyubivka. We have not allowed any losses of our positions. In the Siversk direction, the enemy conducted offensive actions in the areas of Bilohorivka, Siversk, and Verkhnokamianska. All enemy attacks were successfully repelled by Ukrainian defenders.
With his proposal to place U.S. nuclear weapons on Polish territory, Andrzej Duda hopes to revive the nuclear sharing project that the Polish president presented to the administration of then U.S. President Joe Biden back in 2022, according to the Financial Times. Poland noted that only Donald Trump decides where to place American nuclear weapons. However, he reminded that in 2023, the Kremlin dictator, contrary to any international obligations, moved tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus.
NATO's borders moved east in 1999. So, after 26 years, NATO's infrastructure also needs to be moved eastward. It's obvious to me. I think it's not just that the time has come, but also that it would be safer if this weapon were already here. Andrzej Duda, the president of Poland, is quoted by the Financial Times.
The idea of placing nuclear weapons on Polish territory is also supported by Prime Minister Donald Tusk. On March 7th, the head of the Polish government stated that in light of the threat from Russia, Europe could find itself on the brink of war in the coming years. That's why Warsaw is having serious negotiations with Paris regarding the proposal by French President Emmanuel Macron to use his country's nuclear potential to protect European allies. By the way, according to a survey, almost 60% of the French support this idea. Earlier, the president of France stated that today it is becoming increasingly difficult for Europeans to rely on NATO forces.
We have an army that is the most effective in Europe.
After World War II, we have had the potential for nuclear deterrence. This protects us much more strongly than many of our neighbors. Since 1964, they have always played a role in maintaining peace and security in Europe. I decided to open strategic debates about protecting our allies on the European continent using our deterrent forces. The decision will depend on the leaders and commanders of European countries.
German Chancellor candidate Friedrich Merz is open to negotiations on the joint use of nuclear weapons by Great Britain and France. At the same time, he does not rule out the protection of the U.S. as reported by The Guardian, citing the broadcasting campaign DLF. Let's remember that after World War II, the Federal Republic of Germany committed to a non-nuclear defense in several international agreements. However, it participates in NATO's nuclear sharing program.
Joint use of nuclear weapons is a question we need to discuss. We need to be stronger together in the area of nuclear deterrence. We need to talk to both countries, France and the UK, always. And moreover, from the perspective of supplementing the American nuclear arsenal, which we certainly want to see preserved. Friedrich Merz, the candidate for Chancellor of Germany, in an interview with the broadcasting company DLF.
Let's remember earlier President Donald Trump called on countries to give up nuclear weapons. He stated that he has managed to achieve certain successes on this issue with Russia and China. The President of the United States noted that the U.S. and Russia possess the largest amount of nuclear weapons, and China will be able to reach that level within 4 to 5 years. Indeed, while Trump is calling for disarmament, Beijing, Moscow and Tehran are planning to discuss the Iranian nuclear program. The meeting will take place on March 14th in China. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence warns that Iranian scientists are looking for ways to quickly develop nuclear weapons. In Iran, they reject militarization. We want to talk, we just want to talk, we want to talk.
Regarding nuclear weapons, they say that we will not allow Iran to obtain them. If we wanted to make nuclear weapons, America wouldn't be able to stop us. We don't have nuclear weapons, and we're not trying to get them. That's because we ourselves are not striving for that.
At the beginning of March, Donald Trump stated that he wants to negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran. The situation with Iran...
We have a situation with Iran. Something has to happen very soon. I hope we can reach a peace agreement. There are 2 ways to deal with Iran, through military action or by making a deal. I would prefer to make a deal because I don't want to harm Iran.
Otherwise, Donald Trump stated that the U.S. would have to resort to military methods to deal with Iran. Yulia Granovskaya for the Freedom Channel.